complex, yet the organization needed more to sustain and survive. A guaranteed revenue source, a cash register, if you will, was created to keep the complex on solid financial footing. The source of that revenue was the Meadowlands Racetrack, which was and still is the single largest revenue source for the Sports Authority, contributing over 60% of the total revenues every year. Bob Quigley was the man selected by Sonny Werblin to get the horse out of the gate at the sports complex.
I was the first employee of the racetrack. And my job there after that was to work with the architects and the engineers and finishing the place out and engaging other people to come to work and do some recruiting and get some good people.
Despite his many years of experience in racing, Quigley was a thoroughbred man and needed someone to help launch harness racing at the Meadowlands. Quigley called upon Joe DeFrank, a native of upstate New York who had built a solid reputation over the years on the East Coast and in the Midwest.
I had heard of Joe, and he was working at Windsor Raceway in Canada, and I picked up the phone one day and introduced myself and talked to him about the place. He hadn't heard of it.
I said, no matter who you hire, Bob, for this job, do yourself a favor. Make sure you get a 10-horse starting gate, because they're all 8-horse gates. And that way, I said, you're going to get more horses in the field, and they're going to have to race more.
Joe was instrumental in getting horsemen to come here, trainers, drivers, stables, and he actually recruited from all throughout North America. Best hire I made was Joe DeFrank, without any question.
And I tried to, in our first drivers meeting that we ever had here, to lay out the style of racing that I wanted here. And told them no backing off to the halves, no sitting in. If you're on the outside, just keep going. We want you out and going and moving. And if you get beat, you get beat, but get beat trying.
The Meadowlands 1-mile racetrack and shiny new grandstand opened on September 1st, 1976. A jam-packed crowd of over 43,000 were there, even though the finishing touches had yet to be applied to the newest star in the racing sky.
It would have been nice if that were the case, but the building wasn't complete and wasn't for many weeks after we opened.
About the third race, with harness racing of pacers and trotters, and the third race was a trot race. At the start of the race, a trotter jumped up in the air and broke stride and was, hopelessly out of the contention. He was about 10 lengths behind, and as we all know, if you ever watch harness racing, this happens with some regularity. And but Sonny Werblin had never seen this happen before, so he leaned over to us and said, and this was opening night, and he said, I want us to give refunds to everybody who bet on that horse. So we explained to him that this is just part of harness racing, that these horses do it, and then of course we found out later that he had bet on that horse. So,
it was exciting. Everything that was going on at the time was really exciting.
The Meadowlands Racetrack was different than what anyone had ever seen before, all in such a positive way. The racetrack went big on everything. They even had the George Washington Bridge and the Lincoln Tunnel closed down to shoot a special commercial. Everything was done first class, with attention paid to the smallest details.
As I got to know Sonny, I remember walking through the building with him one time when we were the day before we were going to open, and he was inspecting everything, and all of a sudden he stopped and went to his knees, and I thought, my God, this guy's had a heart attack, and I'm the only one with him. And he was just going down. He saw some chewing gum on the floor, and he just was scraping it off with his fingernails, and that's, he didn't wait to call somebody, he just did it. And so of course I got down on my knees, and from a distance we probably looked like we were praying.
It was the right facility, in the right place, in the right market, at the right time, and quickly became the focal point of harness racing, not only on the East Coast, but nationwide. The historic first race was won by Quick Barron, driven by a 29-year-old Ray Remmett, one of the many new faces at the Meadowlands.
Everybody came from a different place. It was all a bunch of new people. There was no cliques or anything at the Meadowlands. Some people come from Yonkers and Roosevelt, people come from New England, people come from Liberty Bell Brandywine. Quite a few of us have come from the Detroit area, a few from Canada. So